My name is Nora Bennett. I'm 33 years old, and I run operations for a hotel restaurant chain in Nashville. I know how a dinner bill works. I know how reservations are secured, how cards are held, how large parties get charged, and how people behave when they think someone else is paying. So when my parents called me after 2 years of silence and invited me to a small family dinner to finally make peace, I should have asked one simple question. Small for who? I didn't ask. I drove 40 minutes to a restaurant called the Marlowe Room, walked through the front doors, and found 15 relatives already seated around a private table covered in oysters, filet mignon, lobster pasta, and 2 bottles of wine that cost more than my first car payment. My father smiled from the head of the table and said, "There she is, our successful girl. You're taking care of tonight, right?" He thought I was trapped. He thought I would pay, because everyone was watching. He forgot one thing. I had spent half my life in restaurants, and I knew exactly who the bill legally belonged to. 2 weeks earlier, my mother added me back to the family group chat. 2 years of silence, and then suddenly my phone lit up with the name I hadn't seen since the day they removed me. Bennett family. My stomach tightened before I even opened it. The message was from Mom. "Nora, sweetheart, your father and I have been thinking. Life is too short for distance. We want to invite you to dinner next Friday. Just us, you, your father, me, and Chloe. A fresh start. Chloe was my younger sister. The reason we stopped talking, not because I hated her, not because I didn't want her to win, but because 2 years earlier, Chloe wanted to open a boutique candle shop after watching 3 TikToks about soft life business owners. She had no business plan, no suppliers, no lease agreement, no idea what rent cost, and somehow she needed me to co-sign a $60,000 loan. When I said I needed to see numbers first, my mother looked at me like I had slapped her. My father said, "She's your sister, you don't audit family." I said, "You do if family wants your credit." That was the sentence that got me removed. My father told me if I couldn't support the family, I didn't deserve to be part of it. So I wasn't. No birthdays, no holidays, no calls, no texts. My mother didn't even message when I got promoted to regional operations manager. Chloe opened the candle shop anyway. It lasted 9 months. I heard that from a cousin who accidentally mentioned it at a grocery store and then looked like she had committed treason. So when my mother wrote "fresh start," I knew better. But some stupid soft part of me still wanted to believe her. I typed, "I'll come." Then I sat at my desk staring at the screen like it might apologize first. My coworker Tasha told me not to go. Tasha has never met my family, which is probably why she understood them immediately. "Nora," she said, "people don't ignore you for 2 years and then invite you to Lobster because they miss your personality." I laughed because it was funny. Then I went anyway because trauma makes people stupid in very specific directions. The Marlowe Room was not a casual restaurant. It was the kind of place where the host says, "Good evening," like he's charging you for each syllable. Dark wood, gold lighting, white tablecloths, servers in black shirts, wine glasses thin enough to make you nervous. I pulled into the parking lot at 7:10. My parents' SUV was already there. Fine. Then I saw Chloe's white Mercedes, the one she absolutely could not afford. Then, Aunt Janice's Lexus, Uncle Rob's truck, my cousin Elise's minivan. 2 cars I recognized from family reunions. One I didn't. I sat in my car with both hands on the steering wheel. Just us, Mom had said. Just us apparently meant half the county. The smart thing would have been to leave, but I didn't. I got out, smoothed my black blouse, and walked inside. The hostess looked relieved when I gave my name. "Bennett party?" "Yes." "They're already seated." Of course they were. She led me toward the back, through the dining room, past couples eating quietly and businessmen pretending not to check prices. Then we turned into a private alcove. There they were, 15 people. One empty chair, directly opposite my father. The table was already destroyed in the way expensive tables get destroyed. Oyster shells on silver trays, bread baskets ripped apart, lobster pasta half-eaten, steak plates pushed to the side, 2 bottles of red wine open, one empty, one breathing beside my father like it had a job. My mother stood up too fast. "Nora!" Everyone turned. Aunt Janice actually clapped. Chloe lifted her glass and smiled like she had personally arranged my forgiveness ceremony. I sat down slowly. "I thought it was just 4 of us," I said. Mom waved her hand. "Oh, once Janice heard, and then Rob, and then Elise, it just became a family thing. Isn't that beautiful?" Beautiful was not the word I would have used. My father leaned back in his chair. "Relax, Nora. Tonight is about healing. Healing smelled a lot like truffle butter. A young waiter came by with water. His name tag said Caleb. He looked maybe 20, tired around the eyes, careful with his hands. I knew that look. New server, big table, rich people, bad energy. Still or sparkling? He asked me. Sparkling, I said. He nodded. My father laughed. Still fancy, huh? I smiled. Still hydrated. Nobody laughed except Caleb, and even he tried to hide it. The little comments started before my water had bubbles. Aunt Janice leaned across the table and said, "You look good, honey. Success agrees with some people." Some people. Uncle Rob said, "Must be nice being the big boss now." Chloe tilted her head. "Regional manager, right? Or assistant regional something?" "Operations director," I said. Her smile twitched. Mom touched my wrist. "We're just proud of you, sweetheart, even if you did stay away." I looked at her hand on my wrist. I remembered being 21 and using my tax refund to pay her dental bill. 23 and paying Dad's truck repair. 27 and covering half of Chloe's wedding flowers because she cried in the florist parking lot. 31 and being told I was selfish because I wouldn't sign myself onto her candle shop debt. I gently moved my hand away. "I didn't stay away," I said. "I was removed." The table went quiet for half a second. Then Dad laughed too loudly. "Water under the bridge." That was my family's favorite kind of apology. The kind where nobody admitted who built the bridge, who burned it, or who got shoved into the river. Caleb returned with my sparkling water. I said, "Thank you." He looked surprised. That told me everything I needed to know about how this table had been treating him. Dad waved him down before he could leave. "Bring another round of oysters, and another bottle of the Bordeaux." Caleb paused. "The same one, sir?" "The good one," Dad said, loud enough for people nearby to hear. Then he pulled a credit card from his wallet and tapped it against the table. "Put it on this for now." For now. I caught the phrase. I also caught Caleb glancing at me. Restaurant people noticed the sentence behind the sentence. Dad saw me looking and smiled. "Don't worry, Nora, we're celebrating." That was the first moment I knew this wasn't dinner. It was a setup with candles. Halfway through the meal, I excused myself to the restroom. I needed air, cold water, and maybe 5 seconds where nobody said the word family like it was a leash. The restroom was all marble and gold mirrors. I turned on the faucet and pressed cold water to my wrists. Then I saw Chloe's phone sitting by the sink, screen lit, unlocked. A message banner sat across the top. Group chat, dinner plan. I should not have looked, I know that, but the preview said my name. "Mom, don't tell Nora everyone is coming. If she sees us all there, she won't make a scene." My body went very still. I picked up the phone. There were weeks of messages. "Chloe, make sure Dad orders before she gets there. She can't refuse once the food is already on the table, lol. Dad, she owes this family. After what she did to Chloe, this is the least she can do. Mom, just keep it warm. We need her back on our side before the bank deadline." The bank deadline. I scrolled further. "Dad, if she covers dinner and agrees to help with the house payment, we can survive through August." "Mom, don't ask directly at first. Make it emotional." "Chloe, she always pays when people are watching." There it was. Not guessed, not imagined. Written. She always pays when people are watching. I put the phone back exactly where I found it, washed my hands, looked at myself in the mirror, and smiled. Not because it was funny, because for the first time in my life, I had caught the magician before the trick. When I returned, dessert menus were out. Of course they were. Chloe had ordered chocolate souffle. Aunt Janice wanted creme brulee. Uncle Rob asked if they had espresso martinis. My father ordered another round of coffee and said, "Keep everything together." Everything together. I sipped my sparkling water. Only thing I had ordered. Only thing I planned to pay for. Chloe leaned toward me, wine making her brave. "So, Nora," she said, "no hard feelings, right?" "About what?" She rolled her eyes. "The loan thing. The family thing. The whole you abandoning us thing." "I didn't abandon you. You let my business fail." "No," I said. "Gravity did that." Caleb coughed behind me. Chloe's face hardened. Mom jumped in quickly. "Tonight is about moving forward." Dad set down his fork like a judge about to sentence someone. "That's right. Which brings us to something important." There it was. The ask. The whole table shifted. Not a lot. Just enough. 15 people pretending to be casual at exactly the same time. Dad folded his hands. "Nora, things have been tight." I said nothing. The economy, contracts, Chloe's business closing, your mother's medical bills. My medical bills? Mom said quickly, as if she had not approved that lie for emotional weight. Dad ignored her. We're not asking for charity. That meant they absolutely were. We're asking for family to remember what family means. I looked at him. And what does family mean? He smiled like he had been waiting for the line. It means the person doing best helps the people who need it. Aunt Janice nodded. Chloe stared at her wine. Mom reached for my hand again. I moved it before she touched me. Dad's smile tightened. Then he said it. And obviously you're taking care of tonight, right? After 3 years away, you owe us that much. There are moments when your life splits into before and after. Mine split right there, between a half-eaten souffle and a glass of sparkling water. For 15 years, I would have paid. I would have smiled, handed over my card, gone home, cried in the shower, and told myself at least nobody yelled. But that version of me was tired, and this version had receipts. I stood up. Mom exhaled like she thought the battle was over. Dad leaned back. Chloe smirked. I picked up my purse. I'll take care of it, I said. Then I walked away from the table, not to the register, to Caleb. He was standing near the service station with a manager in a black blazer. Her name tag said Marissa. I kept my voice low. Hi, Marissa. I work in restaurant operations, so I'm going to be very clear. I am not the host of that table, and I will not be paying for anything they ordered. The gentleman at the head of the table made the reservation, put a card on file, and gave his card to your server. Please present the full check to him. Marissa blinked once, then nodded. And my check, I said, is 1 sparkling water. Add 30% for Caleb. Caleb's eyes widened. Marissa looked toward the private alcove, then back at me. Understood. I paid right there. 1 sparkling water, 30% tip, clean receipt, clean hands. Then I returned to the table and sat down like nothing had happened. For 10 minutes, nobody knew. That was the best part. They laughed. They finished dessert. They talked about vacations they couldn't afford and home renovations they were not going to finish. Mom looked peaceful. Dad looked proud. Chloe took a selfie with the souffle. I just drank my water. Then Caleb came back. He placed the leather check presenter directly in front of my father. Not in the middle of the table. Not near me. In front of him. The table went silent. Dad stared at it. Mom stared at me. Chloe's mouth opened slightly. Dad chuckled. Oh, right. Let's settle up. He opened it without looking at the total. That was smart. If he looked, the performance might crack. He handed Caleb the card. Caleb walked away. The silence at the table turned strange. Aunt Janice adjusted her necklace. Uncle Rob suddenly found his coffee fascinating. Chloe whispered, Dad? He whispered back, I've got it. He did not have it. Caleb returned 3 minutes later. His voice was gentle but clear. I'm sorry, sir. The card was declined. No one moved. Not one fork, not one glass. Dad smiled for 1 extra second, like his face had not received the news. Run it again. Caleb nodded and left. Mom's eyes darted to me. I took a sip of water. Caleb came back. I'm sorry. Still declined. Dad pulled out another card. Then another. Then one from behind his driver's license. The desperate card. Everyone with debt has one. The card you pretend doesn't exist until everything else says no. Declined. 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 By the third one, the whole table knew. Not just that he couldn't pay, that he had planned not to. My father's face turned gray. Chloe whispered, Oh my God. Aunt Janice said, Raymond. Dad looked at me then. Really looked. Not like a daughter. Like a door that had locked from the other side. What did you do? He asked. I paid my bill. His mouth tightened. This was supposed to be your apology. No, I said. This was supposed to be my invoice. Mom started crying. Not quiet tears. Public tears. The kind designed to gather witnesses. Nora, how could you embarrass your father like this? I looked at her. You invited 15 people to ambush me into paying for a dinner I didn't order, to prove I still belonged to a family that only called when the bill came. That's not fair, Mom whispered. I read the messages. That killed the room. Chloe went white. Dad stopped breathing for half a second. Mom's tears stopped like someone cut the wire. I stood up. You said I always pay when people are watching. Nobody spoke. So watch me not pay. Caleb stood frozen beside the table. Poor guy. I wanted to tip him again. Dad's voice cracked. We're drowning. For 1 second, I saw it. The fear, the shame. the truth under the performance, and I almost softened. Then he said, "And you're just going to let us?" There it was. Still my fault. Still my job. Still my wallet between them and consequence. "I'm sorry you're struggling," I said. "I mean that. But you didn't ask for help. You built a trap and called it healing." Mom reached for me. "Nora, please." I stepped back. "If you want real help, I'll sit down with you and a financial counselor. No audience, no lies, no lobster. But I will not pay this bill." Dad looked down at the check. For the first time all night, he read the total. His face answered before he did. I picked up my purse. Then I looked at my mother and said the only thing I had left. "You always said family takes care of family." Funny how that only ever meant me. I walked out before anyone could turn my exit into a debate. Caleb caught me near the host's stand. "Ma'am?" I turned. He held up my receipt. "Thank you," he said. Seriously. I smiled. "You did great tonight." Then I walked outside. The air was warm. The parking lot was quiet. Through the window, I could still see my family at the long table, heads bent over the check like it was a body. My phone started buzzing before I reached my car. Mom, Chloe, Aunt Janice. The family group chat exploding with messages. I didn't read them. I opened the chat. Tapped leave. Nora has left the group. Then I drove home in silence. Not sad silence. Not lonely silence. Expensive silence. The kind you only get after you stop paying for everyone else's noise. That night, I learned something I should have known years ago. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can put on the table is not your credit card. It is your absence. And sometimes the bill finally goes where it belonged all along.